Hello, welcome to Pride in Parsippany. I'm your host, Mayor James Barberio, and before I introduce my host, as you can see, we have a new setup here today, which I kind of like. I like being at the desk here. But anyway, today I have with me Ashley Tobias, an alumni of Parsippany-Troy High School, who's performed on Broadway and has been backup singer for some artists, correct?
Yeah.
But before we go on about what you do, can you just give us a little history of yourself, being here in Parsippany and, leading to where you've been?
Sure. So yes, I'm Ashley Tobias, and I grew up here in Parsippany Hills. I went to Littleton Elementary School. I went to Brooklawn Middle School, and I went to Parsippany Hills. My mom was a teacher at Littleton.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I spent like most of my life here in Parsippany. I actually just moved out of the house 2 years ago, and now I live in New York in Queens.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, I met you back in, I think it was October of 2015. Came to my office and we spoke. And what I admired about you is the fact that you were very engaged in awareness of anti-bullying.
Thank you.
And I think that's very important. As a mayor, I've been to several seminars, and I went to All Saints Academy once, and I had a program there, and it was impossible to leave that building with a dry eye. And I remember on Halloween, I went to your one performance that you did at the PAL, and it's very important. Can you tell me what got you into the, that you wanted to be involved in the anti-bullying
Sure.
campaign?
It just it kind of all happened suddenly that it kind of came together. So after I graduated from Montclair State University, I started doing a lot of professional theater. My first one was Virtually Me, which was a cyberbullying musical. And it was like 6 of us in a van, and we toured around the country. And I was actually the girl that got bullied. My name was Lindsay, and I sent like a picture to someone, and then the picture went viral across the school. And so I kind of had to develop my confidence throughout the show. And at that time, there was that one incident with Tyler Clementi that everyone is so aware of. And that really hit home because it was so tragic what happened to him. And we were doing this really important show at the time, and we all really wanted to help. And for some reason, I was like, I have to do something. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but I just knew I wanted to do something. And then after that, I did another show. It was called The Omies, and it was an interactive program, like yoga-esque. It's kind of like Dora the Explorer for kids. It was off Broadway, and we taught kids how to engage their bodies and how to accept themselves, and it's okay to be different. And then I did another show called Freckle-Faced Strawberry, which Julianne Moore wrote. And I was the popular girl, and there was a girl that had red hair and red freckles, and she got bullied, and we all had to come together. It was okay to be different, to learn to accept yourself. And I was like, something's going on here. There's like a trend. I really love working with kids. I'm kind of doing these like children's musicals. And then I got this one big musical, American Idiot, and it took me around the world. It was Green Day's Broadway musical, and we traveled for 14 months. And one day my mom called me, and she was a kindergarten teacher. And she was like, so what are you going to do after tour? I was like, I have no idea, because that's the life of an actor. And she's like, have you ever thought of doing assembly programs? And she's like, you work so well with kids. They really respect you and look up to you. And then it was like that day we hung up, and I'm on the tour bus, and I like wrote Be True to You, and then it just started to form, and it just happened. And it's really like my baby. It's my passion project.
Right.
I love it so much. I feel like it's my way to give back to kids, because I really do. I love their spirit, and I feel like I'm still kind of kid-like, so that's how we can relate. And I just feel like kids always looked up to me and asked me questions and looked for advice, and I always wanted to help, and I didn't know how. So this is like my way of giving back.
That's great. And I know when I was at the PAL watching you perform, I was watching how the kids were engaging.
Yeah.
And that's a young age, and that's good to get them to engage at that age. What kind of feedback do you get from, I know you go to a lot of schools and you do it in a lot of schools. What kind of feedback do you get from the faculty or the administration, or as well as the kids?
I really get really great feedback. I don't want to say that just to say it, but I really do. Like, I've only been doing Be True to You for basically a year and 3 months.
Right.
And every time it keeps getting better. We keep adding things to the show, so we always spice it up. And the children, like, they just love Biddy, the character that I created. He's our team mascot. He's the DJ, and he has so much confidence because he was bullied. So he finds himself throughout the show. and the children love him. He goes into the audience and asks kids questions, and the kids just kind of like put their hands up. They're like, "Biddy, me!" Like it's so
That's
cute.
nice. And I noticed that. I was watching the children that
Thank
day.
you.
But I want to get back to the anti-bullying, but I know that you were on, it was a Good Morning America and the Today Show, right? And can you just tell us what that felt like?
It was so cool.
Yeah.
I randomly got a text message one morning, and it was like, "Hey Ash, are you available on Thursday for GMA?" And I was like, "What is that?" And then they were like, "B-Ski recommended you." This one guy that we've never hung out really. He just kind of ran into each other a few times.
Right.
Recommended me for Good Morning America for Rachel Platten. So
Okay,
that was really exciting. And then through that, Rachel Platten is also associated with Andy Grammer. So then I got asked for Andy Grammer, and then I got asked again for Rachel. So I've done things for Rachel 4 times, and I did Andy Grammer once. So I was on the Today Show, Good Morning America, and then VH1, the You Ought to Know concert, where it's like the upcoming artist of 2015.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now we'll get back to the anti-bullying.
Sure.
As the mayor of Parsippany, we were trying to coordinate with the schools with regards to school resource officers in the schools more, and have a presence in the schools, but a positive presence. And one of the things we've been looking at, my administration and myself, is an anti-bullying program in the middle school per se and elementary schools, and anti-drug.
Right.
We have a municipal alliance committee, which is it's a drug awareness committee in the township. And over the years, I have found that it's been very difficult to be able to reach out to youth in Parsippany, and I didn't know how really to engage. Only one way to do it, and I realized it was through the schools.
Okay.
It's not through municipal government, but we need, as a town, to be involved in the schools.
Right.
Now, I know you go to the elementary schools. You did Littleton School today.
I did.
Can you tell us, because this is important for me as a mayor, to see how the children in Parsippany engage in your program?
So the guidance counselor, Jackie Greenberg, came up to me afterwards, and she was like, "We are so excited that you were here." She's like, not only was it engaging, but educationally, but it was entertaining so much that the kids were so involved. Like every child wanted to be involved. They were always participating, they were raising their hands, they just wanted to be picked, and they wanted to give their answer about bullying and how to fix certain problems, and they were really like ecstatic about it. It was really great, and she was just like, "I'm so surprised at how engaging they were." They just really wanted to help.
And that's when you need them to engage at such a young age, because
Yeah.
they'll understand as they get older and become more mature that, hey, listen, I remember this way back in elementary school, and this is what
That's what
Ashley,
we're trying to do, yeah.
and that's what Ashley has said to me. Well,
Yeah.
I know for me personally as a mayor, you got to remember when I went to high school, Parsippany-Troy High School, and that was in 1975 through 79. There was no social media, there was no Facebook,
Of course.
there was no Twitter,
Yeah.
there was no way, because you can bully that way just as well, just
Right.
through those types of, and there's so much that's going on in this world today that I think our children need to be informed.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate, as a mayor, but I appreciate how you do this, and I have spoken about you to our committee.
Thank you.
And in the future, as we start to, this baby steps right now.
Yeah.
We start to work with the school board. I would like you to be involved.
That'd be
When
wonderful.
it comes to the anti-bullying process in the elementary schools, because that's something we really need to start it at.
Right.
Now, when we get to the middle schools, we have a whole other type of a program.
Right.
We've never done this in Parsippany. When my aide told me you were excited to be on a show, I was excited. And one of the reasons why I was excited was because the thing I remember more about you than anything is your engagement with the kids on anti-bullying.
Thank you.
Because, I think we all need to grasp onto it. It can lead to some serious problems later on.
It can.
For a kid, and a male or female. You don't want to get to that point. If we can stop someone to understand, hey, listen, there's a way we can help you or help whatever.
We're here for you, of
Right,
course.
we're here.
Right. To comment on that, so there's 2 things about my show. The very beginning, when you're first walking in, about 30 seconds before the show starts, I have what I call a negative reel, and that plays, and it's children saying, saying negative things, like saying like you're a freak and you're a loser and you're this, you're that. Nothing too extreme, but it kind of starts off with that, and then it's like bam, it goes into like this happy music. That's kind of like how my show is. It's like all happy, it's engaging, it's entertaining. I I talk to the kids about identifying bullying, 4 different types of bullying after each scenario that I have. And then in the very end of the show, I have what I call positive reel. So then the kids walk away with, you're beautiful, remember to smile, like remember to say hi to people. I think it's really important to show kids that I'm not talking down to them.
Right.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm just trying to be like your bigger, like cool sister, like your mentor. So I think they really get that. Sometimes in the very beginning, it's like a pin drops, like you can't hear anything. And then when they leave, I have this like music that goes along with it, like astronaut going to the moon, and it's just really inspiring. And sometimes even us, like we tear up. It's just, it's really like a heartfelt moment.
So explain to me, because I know you were dressed in a bumblebee outfit, which is, I guess, gets to the kid. I mean, let's face it. The character, it's Biddy, right?
Biddy, yeah.
And that means...
So it's the acronym of Be True to You.
Yeah, Be True to Yourself. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The kids grasp onto that pretty well, though, it seems. Yeah. It's amazing how you can use animals, insects, and
to get your
things like
point across.
to get your point across.
And they don't even realize that they're like learning, but they are, yeah.
So let me say this to you, because you're the one that performs it. How do you feel when you leave schools? Because I did read some of your, on this Be True to Yourself, the website, you went to Hampton, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I read that, and I read, how they felt. How do you feel, though? Because I have to tell you, if you make one person smile and just once a day, you did your job.
Of course.
So, but how do you feel? How does it fulfill you?
It really differs. Sometimes, I was actually talking to my mom about this today. Yeah. Sometimes I feel myself during the show. Obviously, I'm trying to reach the kids, but I also find myself a little like looking at their faces of the children and the teachers to see what their reactions are. And then afterwards, when they're leaving and they're walking out, they're like, Biddy, we love you, Biddy. Just to hear something like that, it's really reassuring. That is nice. And sometimes I'll hear a kid like, be true to you, and that's my song. And it's just, it's a message within the song. So just the fact that they're singing it, it's fun, but it's sticking with them.
How about your team now? You have a team of individuals that help you out. Who are they?
I kind of have a team, I kind of don't. So I created this whole thing by myself.
Okay.
So I have a team in regards to when I go to shows. I have my team mascot, my Biddy, who DJs.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then I have my sound engineer that comes. But other than that, it's like I'm the one that's like marketing, I'm making the phone calls.
Oh, so you do it all? Wow.
I do everything, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, sometimes it's really overwhelming.
It has to be, because you're a one-person show. That's going to be pretty rough.
It is, yeah, especially when I have to deal with making sure my bee is not late and I'm picking him up when there's traffic and I'm calling schools, and it's just...
Have you ever thought, I'm thinking of it this way, because remember my kids used to watch Blue's Clues and all that?
Yeah.
Have you thought about maybe, not just anti-bullying, but expanding it to other things like educational type of...
Of course I have. I just think my biggest issue is funding and getting sponsors and investors. Because I'm so creative, I feel like I've created, like the sky is the limit. I feel like I could do a TV show with Biddy, because he's a character. He's like a Disney character.
Right.
So I feel like I could take it to like a Nickelodeon educational show where children are involved.
Right.
And I actually have written a children's picture book, but I just need to get an illustrator, and then I want to put that out. And I feel like I'm trying to put out an album for the spring, because I have all these original songs that I've written for the show.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to get that out there for like Disney or Nickelodeon. So.
And the reason why I thought that, because when I was watching you back actually on Halloween, I said, wow, this would be really great if you could just even talk about, hey, listen, today's word is, the kids can learn how to pronunciate all the types of words. Yeah. And I said, you would be great at that.
Thank you.
You have a great speaking voice. Not only do you have a great speaking voice, you have a great singing voice. I listen to you.
That means so much, because sometimes I feel like I have all these ideas, and sometimes people are like, all right, Ashley, take it slow.
Right.
But I really do feel like
let me say this.
Happen.
Never take it slow.
Thanks.
Once the mind gets going, it becomes creative. And if you don't have your imagination, then you have really nothing. Because imagination, you think about it, all the individuals like Walt Disney, they said he was going to fail. He was and look what he created later on. Why? Because he had an imagination. Yeah. And imagination does turn into realities over time, as long as you stick with it.
I completely believe that. I've had so many people growing up that are like, oh, you want to be an actor? what do you want to do for like a real job? And
Right.
it's like, that's
That
what,
is a real
that's
job.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
So now the fact that I created this program, Be True to You, I can help kids and it's a job in itself. I just feel like that's
I
my
see you have
dream.
some letters there from
I
the
do.
kids. Would you like to read some of them?
Yeah, so yesterday I did a show at Burger and Pack. I was on the main stage,
Oh,
which was
okay,
really
great.
cool. So we performed for 700 kids.
Wow.
And when we were finished, we had no idea it was going to be that many kids. So I was like, how many people are going to be here? They're like, 700. I was like, what? So it was intimidating. It was so fun. So some kids made cards for me. Like this says like, what is your name?
What is your name? Right.
This one. I love your performance. What's your name? It's so cute. This one. I can dance and act, but how can I be an actor? What's your name? I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't know exactly.
They probably want your real name instead of Biddy, right? That's probably
Right. Well,
it.
Biddy is the mascot. My
Yeah.
name, I keep Ashley T.
Yeah.
Is my thing. Dear actor, like, I'm not really sure what that one says. Like, what do you think?
Basin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, that's the word you can have on your new show.
I know. No, it's really cute. What's your name? Thank you for performing. Like a lot of the girls come up to me. They're like, "You have such a beautiful voice. Are you a real
Right.
singer?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yes.
It's really great. And also during my show, I have something called Buzz Social, where I have the children come up into the from the audience on stage, and I have a little bird cage, and it's filled with other bullying stories, and it's their job to pick one out and to answer the question.
Oh, that's great. That
Yeah.
is good.
So
Now, what would you say? I mean, this seems. Listen, I've watched your show and I got to know you, and I think it will take off
thank you.
as time goes on. But what are your goals in your life going forward?
In my life, my goal is to make Be True to You a worldwide thing. I would love to target as many audiences as I can. I love traveling. I love seeing the world, and I would love to just help as many people as I could. So I would love to go across the country. I would love to go internationally.
Right.
There's some programs out there, I guess you would say competitors they've been doing it for 7 to like 15 years, and they see a total of 2,500 kids like a year. And it's just, I want to get to that level. Of course, I've only been doing it for a year, but
Right.
I feel like
so
I
it was
can.
a year. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, everything takes 5 years, they say.
I know, it's true. I'm
Listen,
very impatient though.
Yeah, no, I know patience, but patience will get you where you need to go.
Right. I just need a little help. I'm looking for interns and
I lost my first time as mayor, and I didn't give up. So
here
it
you
took me
are.
4 more years to do it. So there is a 5-year plan in there
Right.
somewhere. But all right, real quick, because there was a question that I actually wrote down that wasn't on here. No. Oh, this is not even on here, but you obviously have to strategize, correct?
Yeah.
And do you believe now, because you deal a lot with the kids, do you believe these strategies are working for the kids?
I think so. So an experience of mine, my very first show was I did it in a Bronx school, and I was kind of slightly,
wow.
and it was 8th grade too, because my
Right.
program is K through 8, but it was like my first show. I have a B. I was like, I don't know how the boys are gonna receive it. Actually, so when I do this Buzz Social, I show clips of other bullying testimonials and some pictures from children that you've heard on the news and Facebook. And it gets kind of a little bit dark a little bit. After that was done, I had like a standing ovation and they were clapping.
Oh, that's
children
great.
were.
Yeah, so obviously it does work.
It does work. And then a couple months later, I went back for a curriculum day. And they were like, "Hey, you're Ashley T. and from Biddy." They're like, "Where's the B?" I was like, "Oh, he's sleeping. He couldn't be
Yeah.
here today."
Oh,
but they were just like, "We really loved your show," and I heard someone sing my song again. So I was like, the fact that it was a few months later, it was catchy enough to stick with them, which means the
Right.
message is staying with them. So I think what I have to say will stick with them, and that's really important. So
Now, of course, you grew up in Parsippany. So a lot of your friends, how do they feel? I mean, you still got friends here in Parsippany, correct?
I do, yeah.
And they probably think this is pretty neat. Have you spoken to any of them?
A little bit. I've actually kind of encountered a lot of jealousy actually
Oh, really?
throughout the
Wow.
process. It's kind of like, I don't know if this happened with you, but sometimes it's like the more something is working, or I don't want to say successful, or the more
Right.
successful you become, you kind of start to see people's true colors a little bit more.
I think what happens, and I'll tell you, I know as a mayor,
Yeah.
a lot of people want to knock me off this seat.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because we always try to do what's good, and not every. I mean,
Right.
But what I see in you is that I see you determined,
Thank you.
and keep your heart in it. And I want to thank you first of all for being on today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And
This is
it's
so
nice. We went to
amazing.
the same high school, so
Yeah.
as alumni.
We're alumni.
So before I close the show out, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in to Pride and Parsippany. But I'm going to ask Ashley to perform a song. So thank you for tuning in. And Ashley?
Yes.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Ashley Tobias.
A Biddy, the neighborhood bumblebee, spreading news from tree to tree. Rocking out with pop rock songs is how his message travels on. Biddy, the neighborhood bumblebee, fly so high so he can see. When a girl or boy is bad, it makes Biddy really sad. Biddy, the neighborhood bumblebee, yes indeed, he's just a bee. But just because he is a bee doesn't mean he can't help those in need. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, don't be sad. Learning to accept yourself is key. Don't put others down. Don't let others put you down. Don't let them take your bravery. Cry out. Excuse me. Your bravery. Cry out.
Can I have that back, please?
Oh, learn to trust your inner voice. That's what I did. I made a choice. One day I put it to the test. Stood up for myself. Put bullying to rest. Put bullying to rest. Hey, hey, hey. Now look at me, said Biddy the bee. I'm a rock star. Can't you see? You can be a rock star too. Just believe in yourself. Just be true to you. Ooh, hey, yeah. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, says Biddy the bee. Don't be sad, don't be sad. Accept yourself, accept yourself, accept yourself, accept